On this lonely stretch of Highway 68 between Kingman, Arizona and Bullhead City, Arizona, lies an old abandoned homestead. I've traveled this highway several times in my travels between Las Vegas, Nevada and Phoenix, visiting my parents when they wintered there. And I've noticed this homestead on a couple occasions and always meant to stop and take a look. But for whatever reasons, never did until this year. You can see the highway there, Highway 68 to the right, and on the left side of the screen you can see the old route over the pass, and in between them is the Richardson homestead. Now the buildings you see down the lower right hand corner next to the water tank are probably the ruins of the old Army depot that was stationed here to protect settlers that were heading west. The stone building with the chimney is the homestead. The wooden building there that looks like a garage that was probably used as a garage by the Richardsons was a barn, and then the So right here at the top of the frame, you see the galvanized tin roof building. That's the hotel that was added in probably the late 30s, maybe even the early 40s. In 1897, Jonathan Draper Richardson and his wife Victoria decided to move to Arizona from Los Angeles. They packed their small children and their belongings into a covered wagon and made the 360-mile trip across the Mojave Desert to this spot where they homesteaded about 160 acres. When they arrived, they found the ruins of an Army depot and an old barn. In the ensuing years, Jonathan built a two-story structure to live in, planted an orchard which included apples, peaches, and figs, as well as grapes and pecans. They were paid by the local government to maintain the road over the pass here. Unfortunately, in 1935, Victoria fell ill with cancer and she passed. And then shortly after that, in 1940, Jonathan passed on as well. And their children decided at that point that they needed to improve the property by adding the hotel. And what you see here, the remains of the gas station. The best I can find, that the station was open until the mid-1980s. I spoke to a local here that told me that he's been coming up for 20 years, and he recalls that when he came here in the late 90s, it looked like they had just left. I don't know how true that is, but my best research puts this gas station still in operation up to 1984. This property is now owned by the BLM, so it's perfectly legal for you to come out here and explore. I would suggest that if you do, to be mindful of the history that's here. Leave it as you found it. Maybe pack out a little bit of trash. As I'm flying up the road here, you can see the water tank. That's what most people will notice. And in the summertime, you can barely see any of the roofs in here because the canopy is so thick. Right next to the water tanks, those stone ruins there, I think, are probably what's left of the old Army depot that was here. That barn there on the right, which served as a garage. And this building here is the house that the Richardsons put in place here. And then, of course, the hotel there in the background. You see here, it's a pretty popular place. What struck me about this structure is how thick the walls were. You know, this is still the Mojave Desert, and I would imagine that those walls were pretty instrumental in keeping the temperature manageable inside the building. That local that I was talking to told me that the inside of that garage was plastered with funny papers from the 20s and 30s when he first got here. You see that top door there on the top floor? There was actually a stairway on the outside of the building that went up there. Now the side door here, we're going to go to the hotel. But first, that's my dashing son. You can see here that the property is heavily damaged by vandals that were testosterone fueled, probably alcohol and testosterone fueled teenagers. I don't know why teenagers are so destructive, but they are. And out back here's the chicken coop. No homestead would be complete without the obligatory chicken coop. Behind the chicken coop's a creek. I don't know if that was here when this place was homesteaded. There's a culvert that goes under the highway where that water's coming from, but there is a decent flow there. Looks like they just left the other day. Now, when I took this video, it's early March and the trees haven't canopied out yet. By the time summer comes around, the canopy's full and this place is heavily shaded. This has to be a really nice place to stop and take a little rest and maybe have a picnic. All in all, Tanner and I spent about 3 hours here. That's about 2.5 hours longer than I wanted to spend here, but it was just a really nice place. And you can see the remains of the original old well. And here's the remains of the gas station. Not much left. In one of the dugout houses. A little further down the road from the homestead is what looks like the remains of another house. And here's the steps that went up to the house. I believe 5 of 35. And this is a cistern. I don't know how many gallons of water it held, but it was a sizable amount, fed by a spring that's up the watershed. And with the tin roof on it, it would hold water throughout the year. And all those people driving by on the highway that don't even know it's here.
Thanks for coming along. So until next time, you have fun, stay safe, shoot straight, keep your powder dry, and have a splendid day. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.